federal judge has dismissed the charges against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James.
Judge Cameron Curry says that Lindsay Halligan, the attorney selected by Trump to prosecute Comey and James, was unlawfully appointed. The judge's ruling for Comey's case says, in part, I conclude that all actions following from Ms. Halligan's defective appointment, including securing and signing Mr. Comey's indictment, constitute unlawful exercises of executive power and must be set aside. That same paragraph was repeated word for word in her other ruling dismissing Letitia James' case.
Now, the judge's rulings did not have anything to do with the nature of the allegations against Comey or James. The issue instead goes back to the former attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, Eric Siebert. He was appointed by Trump the day after his inauguration, but then resigned after reportedly expressing concerns about pursuing charges against Comey or James.
Lindsay Halligan was quickly appointed to replace Siebert, but Judge Curry, in her ruling, argued that the Trump administration did not have the authority to appoint her without approval from the Senate due to a 120-day time limit on interim appointments that had already expired. Here's Comey responding to the news on his Instagram page.
This case mattered to me personally, obviously. But it matters most because a message has to be sent that the President of the United States cannot use the Department of Justice to target his political enemies. I don't care what your politics are, you have to see that as fundamentally un-American and a threat to the rule of law that keeps all of us free.
Letitia James also responded, writing on X, quote, I am heartened by today's victory and grateful for the prayers and support I have received from around the country. I remain fearless in the face of these baseless charges as I continue fighting for New Yorkers every single day.
But this story is likely far from over, as Attorney General Pam Bondi indicated her team is already in the process of appealing this ruling. She spoke on the matter briefly during a press conference Monday, telling reporters Lindsay Halligan is an excellent U.S. attorney and shame on them for not wanting her in office.
Comey and James have both been longtime foes of President Trump, with Trump vowing to pursue legal action against them in his second term. Comey was indicted in September on charges of lying to Congress and obstructing congressional investigation. James was indicted shortly after on charges of bank fraud and making false financial statements. Both pleaded not guilty. Well, you can't win them all, okay? Sorry to President Trump and this political vendetta. I think particularly let's talk about Letitia James first, when you pursue her on criminal charges and try to put a woman who housed her family member in jail, and she pursues you on civil charges, it's a totally different type of case.
Political vendetta.
Yes, this is a political vendetta. That she did something totally different. He wants to put her behind bars for years for housing her family member. I don't really understand the connection.
And I think had a political vendetta against Mr. Trump.
Here we are, and the court decided that they're not talking about the specific case, but they decided that by President Trump going around rules, once again, like he likes to do, and hiring his personal lawyer, Lindsay Halligan, to oversee this, when people who've been vetted and who've had their jobs for years have all, and not just Siebert, several other people have said they're uncomfortable moving forward, pursuing charges because they didn't want to be disbarred, because they take their license to practice very seriously. And then he finds a friend, a homegirl, to get in this space and doesn't go about it the correct way. Well, things are thrown away on technicalities, and that's where we are. And so there was a lot of stuff here. It's called rushing. It's called trying to make your political point quickly, not going through the right steps to achieve anything. And so here we are. We've now wasted time and money for what? To try this whole thing again? To waste more money and recharge them?
Well, I think they're going to try it again with Letitia James. Comey's attorneys are going to argue that we're now past the statute of limitations, so that matter is done. I suspect he will likely prevail in that argument. Now, we could have a latter court decision say that the appointment of Halligan was proper after all, and thus this decision not to move forward should itself be set aside. I don't know. Obviously, the process just needs to work itself out. If Halligan was improperly put in place and then these charges cannot be brought, then that's the way it should be. I don't think the arm of the law should be twisted in order to get even with James Comey and Letitia James, but I think if they violated the law, they should be prosecuted just like anyone else, just like they viewed of Donald Trump. Letitia James was brought to office to find some pretext for trying Donald Trump and scoring a criminal conviction against him. So why should the Republicans not do that to her? It just doesn't make sense to me. You say it's a political vendetta, but she had clearly manifested a political vendetta in everything she was doing to Trump.
She went after him for a civil case, and she won that. Okay, so he should pursue her if he wants to for a civil case, if he'd like to, for renting her home to her family member,
being
which I believe was
pursued
a
for mortgage
niece.
fraud.
But now he's trying to pursue her for a criminal case and put her behind bars again for owning a home and putting her niece in there.
The campaign finance violation should have been a minor issue, and was the criminal. It was constructed in such a way to make a mountain out of a molehill for whether the payment was a campaign payment. None of it was illegal or improper anyway. It's just very silly.
So you prefer that your attorney general and your president continue to pursue this over and over again to fulfill some vendetta that's based on vindication for past charges?
I would prefer.
That's what you prefer in leadership. That's what
I would
I'm
prefer it
asking,
if they'd not
because
brought
I'm
charges against Trump.
Yeah, no, but here we are. So tell me what you prefer. You prefer him to keep going after Comey, like you said, he passed the statute of limitations, so they're going to continue on with
Trump's
this
not
and
going to
try.
be the first one to stand down.
I know, but he's literally going. We saw his tweet that he knew he meant to send privately to Pam Bondi, or what do you call it, Truth Social Post, and then he accidentally said to the whole world, pressuring the Department of Justice, which you're not supposed to do because the Department of Justice is supposed to operate apolitically, making decisions that make sense for the country to pursue. And he's pressuring her to pursue his political enemies, and she's acting like she's autonomously making these decisions, and we now understand that she's not. There's so much smoke around this fire of just trying to be petty, and I just would like to see better things happening. There's so much more on his agenda. I mean, and I could name the several things. We don't have to go down the list of things other than pursuing Letitia James and James Comey. Do you not find that to be true? You like to keep doing this over and over again, keep beating the dead horse.
Why is it okay? Republicans take power. They finally get their people in place. Donald Trump is aggrieved by the actions of these deep state bureaucrats. This is an important issue to the MAGA base. He's elected to do this. They now are in a position to get even, and you're saying, and they should not.
Yeah, because this is not medieval times. Yeah, I don't think that we should be doing that. And just like when they kept pursuing Trump and kept trying to relitigate,
They shouldn't have done that
I
either.
said, don't do that. I said you're wasting
well,
time. And
I
I said
wish
you
they'd
are
listened to you
riling.
then.
I said they're riling up the MAGA base, and that's why you're inciting people to say, okay, well now even if we didn't care about Trump and we were fatigued, now because it just looks like you guys are endlessly attacking him, we're going to get more passion in this fight, and that's why he won again. That's part of my argument on why he won again. Outside of Biden just being a terrible candidate, there were several things that I said in those moments, but I do think now that we're here, he shouldn't take the time of his presidency to try to get everybody back. That's a complete waste of time.
I don't know. He's capable of doing multiple things at once. I mean, he's put in place someone to pursue this.
Well, we'll talk about my lens and see how much he's capable
distraction.
of. I don't think that he's accomplished.
I think he made no secret of the fact that if Letitia James or James Comey or other enemies had committed crimes, they were going to pursue charges against them when he ran. I don't think anyone
Right, and now
should
that he
be
failed,
surprised
now
by
what?
doing this.
He failed. So
well,
we gotta
if
move on.
then we should move on. If it was improper and they can't be brought, then they should move on.
Thank
of course.
you. So just let the base know it's time to go on to the next topic.
Well, if this decision stands, it's time to move on. Yes.
The chainsaw for bureaucracy might have just run out of gas. Why one administration official is saying Doge does not exist. Don't go anywhere.